What's going on, Muscle Monsters? Align Gonzalez here, and today I want to give you 3 training hacks that you can use to build bigger biceps, particularly if you are a more advanced lifter, right? Because if you're a beginner, it's as easy as doing bent rows and chin-ups, progressing there to build your biceps. And then when you become an intermediate, you might throw in some isolation movements and you might periodize your training a bit and you'll build your biceps that way. But there will come a point in time where you can't add any more weight to your pulling movements, or you can, but it's very slow, right? The progression is very slow and you can't curl any more weight, right? So what's a man to do if he can't curl any more weight and his pulling movements or the rate at which they progress is slowed down, and he wants to build bigger biceps? That's what I'm going to tell you today. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 1, increase training frequency. We have research that shows that when volume is equal, right, we build more muscle training 3 days than we do 1. All right? Now, the reason for this is twofold. Number 1, the repeated bout effect. So the more frequently we train a muscle to a degree, the faster we become at, or the better and more efficient we become at recovery. Okay? Then muscle protein synthesis. Okay, whenever we train a specific muscle group, we elevate muscle protein synthesis for a specific period of time before it drops back down to baseline. And the person who is spending more time synthesizing protein, particularly for a given muscle, is ultimately going to build more muscle, right? And that's why, even though they're doing the same amount of work, the person who split that work into 3 days is going to get more growth. All right? So, what we don't know is whether or not equating for volume on 2 days versus 3 days will make a difference. What we do know, however, is that if we're adding that additional day to increase volume, we'll build muscle, right? Because we end up doing more work. So right now, if you're training your arms or biceps directly once per week, start training them twice per week, right? If you're training them twice per week, start training them 3 times per week. Okay, this is going to, again, ensure that you're doing more volume. All right? Number 2, cheat. All right, there will come a point in time where you can't curl any more weight with strict form. And if you try to increase the weight, you have to sacrifice volume, and you don't want to do that. So in this case, to break through that threshold, what I would recommend is use a little bit of body English on the last 2 to 4 reps. Meaning, if you can curl 70 pounds for 8 reps strict, then hit your 8 reps with strict form and then use a little bit of body English to get the weight up for another 2 to 4 reps. Okay, I'm not saying, bend over backwards to get the weight up. All I'm saying is use a little bit of momentum just to get the weight up. And what's going to happen here is you're going to increase the volume, right? Because even though you're using a bit of momentum to get the weight up, because you are more exhausted at this point, you're still going to use your biceps to a good degree. And more importantly, you're still going to get the entire benefit of the negative aspect because you can't cheat that part of the lift. All right, so what this is going to do ultimately is, again, increase volume, but it's also going to get you a bit stronger and get you used to getting past that 8 reps, and thus eventually you'll be able to move up in weight or get more reps with strict form. Number 3, undulate the rep ranges. All right, when I wanted to build my squat or build my bench or my deadlift, I started to train these movements in different rep ranges to benefit from the different adaptations. So what I would recommend is start training your biceps with a light day, moderate day, and a heavy day. On your light day, you're doing 15 to 20 reps, even if that means light dumbbell curls or chin-ups and things of that nature. On your moderate days, just do a basic hypertrophy rep range, so 8 to 12. And then on your heavy days, you might want to do things like barbell curls with a heavier weight, right? and stay in the range of 5 to 6. What's going to happen is the strength that you gain from the lower rep ranges will help you lift more weight in the higher rep ranges. Lifting more weight in the higher rep ranges will produce hypertrophy, which will then allow you to be stronger. It's a virtuous cycle of gains when you start to implement these different mechanisms, right? And so that's pretty much it, guys. Just 3 quick tips for building bigger biceps when you're at a plateau or just stuck. I hope that was helpful. I hope I didn't ramble too much. If you haven't already, make sure to grab my arm training specialization guide. It's completely free. Link below. Go there, put your name and your email address. You'll get instant access to that. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.